Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. So in today's video we'll discuss major difference between procedure and function. So this is an important interview question when it comes to PL-SQL or Oracle. So let's discuss the difference between the two. So these are the major differences, but first let's see the syntax. So this is the syntax for procedure. So create or replace procedure, whatever is your procedure name, and then in brackets you will give the parameters and you will mention if they are in or out, whatever parameters they are in or out parameters, then is or as, and the declarative part, whatever you want to declare. If you want to declare variable, then you have begin, exception and end. So in between begin and end you can write your code, whatever you want to execute, and then in exceptions you can handle exceptions. So this is an example. Create or replace procedure, this is the procedure name, this is the parameters, is begin and end, and inside begin and end you can write whatever your procedure should do. And if you want to execute a procedure, this is how you can execute. Okay, exec, whatever the procedure name is, and if the parameter is there, you can give the parameter. So, and the syntax for function is something like this: create or replace function, function name, then you will mention the parameters over here, then you also have to mention return whatever is the data type. So this is the difference between function and procedure. So in case of function, you have to mention the data type of the return because functions return a value and procedure does not. Then you write is as declarative part, then begin, and everything is almost similar. Only this return part is extra in case of function. Okay, so this is an example. So yeah, this is an example. Create or replace function, your function name, parameters, then you mention the return type. So return varchar2. So in this case the return type is varchar2 is, then begin and end, and whatever you here you can also declare any variables if you want to, and then between begin and end you can do whatever and you can return the value. And since it's a function returns a value. Function always has to return a value and procedure does not return a value. And if you want and if you want to execute this function, this is how you will execute. So between declare, you will declare a variable, then between begin and end you will take the you will call the function and you will store it in a value and then you can print it. So since function will always return a value, so when you execute it, it has to be like this. You have to declare a variable and then call a function, and then that value will be stored in a variable. So this is how a function is executed. In case of procedure, you do not need all that. In case of procedure, you can simply write execute exec and the procedure name, and it will be executed. Now let's see the major differences between the two. So procedure is used mainly to execute certain process and function is used mainly to perform some calculations, but you can more or less do the same thing between the two. But yeah, if you want to choose between the two, this is the major difference. And in case of procedure, DMLs are allowed, but in functions, DMLs are not allowed. So when you're using functions, data manipulation language is not allowed. So if you're updating or deleting, okay, all that is not allowed. Okay, update, delete and all is not allowed. DMLs are not allowed in function. Only you can select things. But if you want to use DMLs, then you can use procedure. So procedure can call function. So inside a procedure, you can call functions, but functions cannot call procedure. So the other way around is not possible. So this is also one important difference between the two. So inside procedure, functions can be called, but inside functions, procedures cannot be called. So, and in case of procedure, use out parameter to return a value. Now, if you want your procedure to return a value, you cannot specifically return, okay. So if you want to return a value, you can use an out parameter. And in case of function, you have to use the keyword return and then you can return the value. So functions can return value. So procedures can have input and output parameters, functions can have input parameters. In case of procedure, it is not mandatory to return the value. It is not important to return the value, but function, in case of function, it is mandatory to return the value as I already mentioned. So for functions, it is important to return a value. So return will simply exit the control from subprogram in case of procedure, and in case of function, it will also exit from the subprogram, but it will also return a value because functions always return a value. In case of procedure, return data type will not be specified at the time of creation, and in case of function, return data type is mandatory at the time of creation, as I already showed you all in the syntax that you have to mention the data type, the return whatever data type, you have to mention it in function, you have to mention it. Okay, so this is the major difference between procedure and function. So one major, 2 3 points you should always remember. One is that DMS are allowed in procedure, but in function it is not allowed. Procedure can call function, but function cannot call procedure. This is very important. And yes, function always returns a value, and procedure does not necessarily return a value. If you want to return a value, you can use out parameter. So these are some major differences between the two. And yeah, that's it. If you found this video helpful, make sure to like, share and subscribe to my channel. And yeah, that's it. Do check out the other playlist on the channel. It will be very helpful to you. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.